this spot I get shoot, and I was able to get the man ground and jump on my bike. My first chain of thought was to go and get some drugs, and that's what I did.
Look, you have dark, good and have evil.
Because it's a different generation, it's a different kind of stereotype generation.
I saw a lot of things at, I would say, trauma.
In the heat of the moment, the adrenaline, I had so much things, I had so much to lose at that time.
Time to change, man. Time to turn around. Time to turn around.
My life in substance abuse started at a very early age, I would say. From the age of 6, 7, I started experimenting with mood altering substances. As far as because my grandfather used to smoke cigarettes on the evening. So every evening I would accompany him in the gallery. And I would wait till when the cigarette is getting close to the butt. And I would tell him, let me go and hold it. And I would run behind the edges and go and puff the balance of the white down to the brown. And I used to, in between that puffing, I used to experiment with, how should I say, letting the smoke come through my nose and through my mouth. And I find it quite awesome to be able to do those things. Yeah? And most of all, too, I used to like the euphoria feeling I got when I get up with a little dizzy head feeling and feeling normal, I would say, but still, with a little altercation in my brain. But I didn't know at that age that's what I was seeking. I just loved the feeling, and I used to look at the actions of my grandfather he took and tell myself, well, if this is what it takes to be a man, well, I all for it. So I would say basically that's where my life in substance abuse started. Like I said, I was smoking from the time I was 7. So as I get older now, and my mom was a strict woman. She didn't really let me associating with the rasters, she would say, or the people who used to use marijuana. She used to always tell me, she and my grandmother always tell me, keep from around them people. Them people can send you mad. So over time, I got to realize, right, these people were some of the most loving people I find on the streets because the love, the gratitude, and the empathy that culture showed me compared to people in church, I was more drawn to them than to the people I found in the church. So I gravitated to that lifestyle. Whereas, like, you come out, you ain't got nothing, somebody will give you something. That kind of hope. People in church really never used to endorse and show me that love. So it easily start for me because, like I said, I started smoking when I was 7. So coming up through that stage, of my life, I graduated now from the cigarettes, and then I say something meant to use the banana shank, and I tried that there by itself. Let me tell you that it's that I mean it was still giving me that euphoria effect, but it was a more kickback. I was saying to get in my chest that kind of way, and then coming on to secondary school, I started experiment with marijuana because I had some friends in my neighborhood who we start doing it. Time with the 12, 13. And I like the euphoria feeling marijuana gave me. Marijuana used to make me happy. I would sit down and laugh at anything. I fly past in front of me too hard or too slow, and it would just make me laugh. I would see, it just used to give me that emotional feeling of uh, like laughter, like fun. Everything in life seemed to be fun for me, yeah. Until when I get home now and the munchies hit me, my mom start realizing, "Yeah, what you coming in here eating on everything?" And then they get to a point now where as like 13, 14, she realized like she start noticing I start smoking marijuana because she could smell it for me when they come home. So she tell me, listen, you gotta try to do something about that and stop. She tried to encourage me to stop that kind of way because my appetite now open up that kind of way. And when I come home, I know everything in the house. To get to the stage that she tried to build a pantry and put a lock on it so that my consumption of the things she providing for the family was limited. And that's where now I would say the friends that I had growing up come in, because like, you know, we start cooking up on the block. That can you know, man will go inside, bring up piece of chicken, somebody bring up a little rice, you know, or it may not even be chicken and rice. It could be just we call it food. That anyway, we start to cook from a very early age and do these big man things. So you know what I mean. Living for me, you know, was she had to. She had to be telling me no more about the use of the foods in the house as a result of my greed. I was freely giving it now on the block. That I can hear. So I gravitated more to that life, and that happened. That escalated for me straight through my secondary year. That I can hear, yeah. On leaving secondary school, I still live with that kind of mentality of living. And one of the things I must say too, all through this stage of my life living, right? I was a very close-minded individual because I didn't know nothing at that stage of being open-minded. I didn't know that people would tell me things about living life, and I would listen to their points of views or what their belief or what they think would be more beneficial for me about living. But to be honest, it more seems to go through one ear, drop through the next, because really truly I live my life by my own ideology. That kind of way. My views and my values was what was relevant for me to help me build and grow in life. Up to this stage of my living, I didn't think I had a problem with drugs because I was still functioning. I was still able to get up, go work, buy the things that I want, you know, go up on the weekend, enjoy myself. That I can even buy a couple um more bikes in my time too. That I can, you know what I mean? And they start to like really, I would say just let's live in a carefree life that I can, and I and the children on that is so like my life basically just consists of working on a weekend, partying, and going back through that cycle all over again from week to week. That can every week there was a dub or event that I can here to come out and socialize, and every night there's some place that I could roam on my bike and enjoy society too as well. So you know, I never saw of my life having a problem. I would say the problems in my life with drugs all started when I would say started when I started experimenting with harder drugs. I would say this is where I will honestly say my drug problem come in, because like on leaving school I did various jobs throughout my lifetime. That can be one time I used to cut cane. I also groom horses, and then my stepfather, he taught me carpentry. So I started doing I used to work with him sometimes doing apprentice carpentry, and then I was employed by a guy who offered me a job. I also used to do landscaping too. At one stage I had my own little landscaping business until I got in a motorcycle accident that led me to decease from doing that work. But I got an opportunity from a guy who used to cut his property. He offered me a job in construction, and that first day I went into construction, I never looked back. I from that day on, I hold the mantle of being a tradesman, I would say. So, but like I said, all through this stage of my life, I didn't believe I had a problem with drugs, because at any day I was functioning. I was able to buy tools, do this, you know, can't want put no money for pay bills and stuff that I can anyway. You know what I mean? I didn't believe I had a problem with drugs that I can anyway. Like I said, the escalation of my drug use started when I started experimenting with cocaine and marijuana. The first time I ever smoked cocaine and marijuana, that's when my world went topsy-turvy. My views and my values of living changed couple hours after I had a little bout with that drug, because after I came out, after I smoked, or I would say, you know, after I come down, right? My views to living was like, I don't want to see no more work though. it was so easy for me, right? Because at that stage of my life too, I will honestly say too, I was living with, or my friends and then times, right, were people who used to get involved in some serious crimes throughout the island, right? And the way how we used to live that kind of way, we used to live to support our drug use by doing crime. That kind of way, though my someday I would still work or try to use the work as a like a cover for John Public to make them believe I easy good work, but they don't know when I head off for the morning what I be doing out there in society, that kind of way, right? But over time, like I said, that's when the transitioning of my drug use started. When I started to smoke cocaine and weed, that gave me a pure feeling that was very, how should I say, demanding. Every minute I want that drug, yeah. Every minute I used to chase that drug, that kind of way. And if when I get it, I find myself in a very miserable state of being that I would do anything. I was not, it's not supposed to do anything. I would do any crime I could commit to support my drug addiction. Because like I said, all coming up through my life, this is what I was feeding my drug addiction by doing crime. That can hear. So that escalated until I get incarcerated in 2003. My first incarceration I got when it was in 2020, 2022 or 3. I did a year for a robbery, and going into the institution too, for me, it was just like being away from society, but in jail. And then times, I mean, I never say I would suffer because like I had a friend who used to look after me, like, and my mom too, she was still come by the jail every week or every 2 weeks. I can bring a parcel for me, so I never really felt the effect of being in jail that kind of way. Cause I could still get whatever I want in jail the same way, you know what I mean? By using my, I would say, cigarettes that kind of way to obtain the things I need that kind of way, yeah. So, but like but coming on through this stage of my life too, right? From 2003 to 2016, I was always in and out the institutions. I could have never bar a year out here in society. But in 2016, this is where the intervention really come into as well. A judge look at my antecedent card and admit to me, son, you have a serious problem with drugs. I think you need some help. And I being an adult and see that there was a possibility I would be able to evade jail. I accepted the help because, to be honest, I knew I was going to hear about this rehabilitation center, and I tell myself I can give it a try to see how it really is. But when I went to the rehabilitation center, to be honest, right, I never was honest with the people inside the center because I used to, how should I say, compare myself to a lot of people I met in the rehabilitation center. And I must say too, one of the other things that made me feel I never had a job problem because from a very early age, at 20 years old, I had my house. That can be so being, I would say, independent from a very early age. I never thought I was affecting the people in my community, nor nobody outside my community when I step out my house. That can be right. It's only after getting into the 12-step program that I got to understand how detrimental I was living as far as harming society, harming myself most of all, by believing it was okay for me to use drugs. But going back now to what I was saying in regards to this first admission, right? This first admission I got in 2016, I wasn't honest with the people at the treatment center that kind of way because I didn't want to admit I had a problem with drugs. I was just faking it to make it. And I self-discharged myself the week before I were going back to court. And I came right back up and they told me, right, that um most people who come to this institution and do not take the suggestions of what this institution is offering you, and you go back out, your life does get worse. And I experienced a situation a year prior after that, to which I could testify to that statement, because at my latter years of my using now, I became a pretty larcenist. I used to ride about a motorcycle upon a day and PI people going provision, and then go back on a night and help myself to this provision to support my drug habit. But this particular night, this guy, I went into this ground to steal some melons, and this man, I didn't know that somebody drove a truck a couple of days down previously down in the man ground and steal the man melons. And when the man tried to pursue the thieves, the man opened up some gunfire upon the man. But the farmer decided he dare any thief who dare to come back and risk at what was left. So I didn't know all this transpire. And I one night I went, I mean, like, I was in the man ground, have myself the man melons, and the man is up by me, about 7 feet or 8 feet off of me, and hit me and shot me 3 times with a Glock 40. I got hit in my back, my hit in my foot. But you know, despite I get shoot, and I was able to get out the man ground and jump on my bike, my first chain of thought was to go and get some drugs, and that's what I did. I went and got drugs. I didn't feel I had enough drugs in me, and I leave from that dealer, went by somebody who used to enable me, show them the state of my being, knowing they can give me money to go and get some medical help. I used their money to go and buy more drugs. And after using the last, I would say, set of drugs, I went home at that stage and tell my 75-year-old mother at that time, bring scissors, can you cut off my clothes? And they talking about after 1:30, going on mix of 2 in the morning, bring scissors, can you cut off my clothes and no get shoot. All that time I drink, I leaking blood like a pipe. So that day confirmed my, how should I say, insanity of the state of mind I was living in as a result of my drug use. So when I came back now in 2018, I was offered a chance by a different magistrate. I couldn't deny the fact that I needed help, and I really wanted a chance to change my life, turn my life around, and to start to live anew. And they told me these are some of the suggestions that will help me to stay stuck, keep from around the people, places, and the things. I was also, like I said, introduced to a 12-step fellowship program, which is known as Narcotics Anonymous, that has helped me from then to now, because my period and my time in the treatment center, it was only for 90 days. In the treatment center, I stayed in the rehabilitation center for 90 days, and after the 90 days, I was introduced to a 12-step program known as Narcotics Anonymous. Narcotics Anonymous, I will honestly say, right, is what has helped me, guide me on this path of recovery to which I am on today. I am an active member of the fellowship. I maintain continuously, regularly, on a regular basis, because there's a saying in our fellowship, meeting makers make it, and I have proven that to be true. And there's other saying too, to which I think I could hear on at this time. The promise is freedom from active addiction. Any addict could lose desire to use and find a new way to live. And for me, I have found that statement to be true, because there was time in my life, right? I believed that I would be an addict for the rest of my life. But thank God that programs and fellowships such like the 12-step programs that I've just mentioned of drug addiction as well as alcoholism were formed to help people who are suffering with substances to find a solution how to cope, how to live, and how they can enhance their life by just staying abstinent one day at a time. The program, for living a life of abstinency today, I will honestly say it's possible, because today, with the help of my higher power and the program, I got in 7 years and 5 months clean, one day at a time. And that is an achievement in my life to which I never ever would have thought would have been possible. That is why for me, I always gonna give thanks to God and my higher power, as well as the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous for saving me, right? Because the rooms is what has helped me to get a better perspective on how to live, the things I need to do, and how I can better understand my life by the thoughts of what drug addiction did for me. And I'm going to honestly say it too, right? There was a time I tried the mental too, right? But they told me the only cure for drug addiction is a thought therapy program. And I have come to proven that statement to be true. Because the reason I say that, right? The thought of using drugs is normally come true your thoughts that kind of way. And then is when you act out, which they will call an obsession. When the obsession of using a substance come, I have a choice today to play the tape through, to decide whether or not I want to transform that obsessive thought into a compulsive action, especially after play the tape through. I look at all the things that could be possible, and to be honest, it don't be worth it for me, because there's no mood or there is no chemical solution that could solve a spiritual problem today for me in my life, right? And that's why I stay firm to the principles of the program and live it to the best of my ability. Yeah, because I am a proven fact of today. Not saying that I perfect or I got this thing down pat, but I know today, right? As long as I keep on doing the things that the fellowship and the program has suggested me to do, I will never relapse. That kind of way. You understand? Because for me, relapsing part of my journey today, recovery, learn to live life today free without the use of a substance is what is key for me today. And it's a beautiful feeling to hear sitting, enjoying the tranquility of the morning, to hear a bird chirping, to watch a butterfly floating. Those are values of life one time I had no consideration for. But today, because I'm free from the substance, life is beautiful.
Look, you have dark, and good, and you have evil.
Because it's a different generation, it's a different kind of stereotype generation.
I saw a lot of things at, I would say, trauma.
In the heat of the moment, the adrenaline, I had so much things, I had so much to lose at that time.
Time to change, man. Time to turn around. Time to turn around.